his happiness matters because he has made a lot of sacrifices. And so when you look at it from that perspective, I guess you could say there's a smidgen of a chance. Obviously, if I had to bet my money, I would bet that he's leaving. I look at the Lakers, to be honest with you. I think that L.A. is a viable option for him. He's got two $20+ million homes in L.A. He's renovating one of the houses for crying out loud. The man, listen, that's where he's going to be a vast majority of this offseason. That's just what he does. I'm not going to sit up here and tell you that I think he's going to stay in Cleveland because that would be a lie. Right. What I'm saying is you can never rule out totally Cleveland because this is home to him, and very few things in life makes him happier than being home.
I want to make something very clear. I'm not taking shots at you guys. I'm really taking shots at Dan Gilbert, the owner, right? Like, I mean, he has not. First, he did LeBron wrong when LeBron left. Then he gets him to come back. And then the organization has still failed to put a championship team around him. Let's be honest. And I'll tell you something else as it relates to L.A. Oh, it's like kind of taking a shot at Cleveland. Guys, I'm from New York, right? Believe me, you like to live in L.A. Like, you know, like you live in Cleveland, you love your hometown. Believe me, you have a chance to live large in L.A. It's very nice. And by the way, it's not like, hold up, who's saying boo? You back there, you don't want to live in L.A.? Hold on, who with the hat on? You don't want to live in L.A.? You sure about that? Okay, we'll see. L.A., by the way, L.A. comes calling. We'll see what happens. The point is this. The point is this. LeBron left. He was born here, right? More or less. He got drafted here. He didn't have choice in either one of those things. Gilbert did not put a championship team around him. He left for Miami. He came back. He did not have to come back. He came back. He's been in 4 consecutive finals. He's won a championship.
Hold on.
He showed you his love, right? Like, if he leaves, it's not that he's dissing everybody. It's that the organization is not giving him what he needs. What's he supposed to do?
Well, this is. It's moments like this when I accuse you of being a LeBron apologist because it's not necessary to say that. It's obvious. But I will tell you this. If ever there was a time to make your point, it's now because Gilbert did not have to appease Kyrie Irving by trading him. You had 2 years left on that deal. You could have kept him. That's the great, other than the letter that he wrote when LeBron left the first time, that is the ultimate indictment against Dan Gilbert. Outside of that, I'm not inclined to excoriate the man. I understand that you have to pay, but so much. You don't have to pay amount of money, a limited amount of money, up to 85%, 90% of the cap. But the man has had one of the top 2 payrolls since LeBron James has returned. LeBron James asked him to do that. He has done, with the exception of Kyrie Irving departing, he has done what LeBron James asked him to do.
Why?
So I'm just saying, but it doesn't matter why. All I'm saying to you is that if you did what the man asked you to do, that's more than we could say about the James Dolans of the world.
I'll acknowledge that. There's a lower level than Dan Gilbert. There's a level even below Dan Gilbert as an owner, and he did pay the money. But I will say that Dan Gilbert, that letter that he wrote to LeBron when LeBron left, seemed to indicate that Dan Gilbert thought he had done something. He hadn't done a thing. Then LeBron left, and he saw what life was like without LeBron, and then it was like, oh, all right, yeah, I'll do whatever he wants.
Again, that's another statement that's not fair. He wrote listen, I will never get over the letter that he wrote to LeBron because it was disrespectful and it reeked of a slave owner's mentality, to be quite honest with you. I mean, this dude went at LeBron in a way that I would never get over if I were LeBron and his crew, and I don't think they ever have. But they did grow, and they did mature, and they did realize where it was emanating from and how he felt disrespected. And even though they have never forgotten, at the same time, they were grown up enough to move on from that, and the rest of us need to do that as well. And the only point that I'm going to add, Molly, before I end this, is this. You have a situation where the man has done primarily what he was asked to do. And when you do something like that, we can't just sit up here and excoriate this man left and right like he did nothing. It's a lot to be said for having a payroll near $150 million and paying those luxury taxes and all of that other stuff. You don't have to do that as an owner.
Yep.
He's
done that.
You think
he's making money on the deal or losing money on the deal?
I think he's making money, but I don't think he's making... Listen, you could say he's making money, but in the same breath, he could make a lot more if he wanted to, quote unquote, betray and not live up to his end
But
of the
then they
bargain.
wouldn't be in the finals, and he wouldn't be making
Well,
that
you got to
money.
remember, LeBron James committed to 2 years before doing the 1-1, so he didn't have to honor it the way that he
It
has,
is true
but
that
he
LeBron,
has.
with this crew getting to the finals, indicates maybe he could get to the finals out of the East with anyone on his team. It's possible.
Yeah, on that note, I want to ask you this. We heard Stephen A. He thinks he probably will leave potentially L.A. or Houston, but there's a lot of options in the mix right now.
Lot of
You
options.
mentioned a bunch of teams that he'll meet with. What's your gut?
My gut is LeBron goes to L.A. And that's my gut. Philadelphia if it's in the East, L.A. if it's in the West, because L.A. has assets, cap space. Because Paul George, it seems increasingly like he could wind up in L.A., so there'll be another star
Of course,
there.
he's from there, yeah.
And the Sixers, because Rich Paul represents Ben Simmons, so Simmons is already tied into LeBron's business. And if the Sixers got LeBron with Embiid and Simmons, especially with Colangelo, who I told people wasn't a good GM when wasn't the right GM for the Sixers.
That's a whole
right.
other issue.
They're going to bring in another GM, I'm sure a LeBron-friendly GM.
I have a better question.
And surround him with shooters.
I have a better question. Should we not be asking ourselves the question, would LeBron feel more compelled to stay if they lose? Or what if a miracle happened and they won? What would he do then? Should we be asking ourselves those questions? Like I said, we're here at the NBA Finals, and I want to talk about these finals, but in the interest of this discussion, I think it's important to recognize that there may be an alternative where it's not a foregone conclusion that he just ups and leaves.